There is a time, a window in the depths of the night, a moment when the veil between heaven and earth is thin, when the spiritual realm stirs with divine activity and supernatural shifts. It is the time of the Watchmen, the time of breakthroughs, the time when God is calling his people to rise. Why 3 a.m. to 5 a.m.? Because this is the hour when destinies are decided, when heaven's courts open, when strongholds break, and when blessings are released. God is calling, seek me in the secret hours of the night, and I will pour my blessings upon you. The scriptures reveal the mystery of the midnight watch. When did Paul and Silas break their chains? At midnight. Acts 16, 25, 26. When did the Israelites begin their exodus from Egypt? At midnight. Exodus 12, 29, 31. When did the bridegroom come for the wise virgins? At midnight. Matthew 25, 6. Why? Because midnight into the dawn is the time of divine movements and transitions. When the world sleeps, the heavens are awake. When men rest, angels war. The Lord called Samuel in the night, 1 Samuel 3:03. 10, Jacob wrestled with God until the break of dawn, Genesis 32:24. 30:30, Jesus rose early to pray before daybreak. God moves in the watches of the night because he is seeking those who will rise to seek him. Why does the enemy attack most between midnight and dawn? Because he knows this is the hour when destinies shift. Many wake up at 3 a.m. but dismiss it, yet the Spirit is calling them to rise and pray. When you pray in these hours, you destroy the plans of the enemy before they manifest. This is the hour when the enemy plots, but it is also the hour when the righteous prevail. Will you sleep through your breakthrough, or will you rise? The great men and women of God, the watchmen, the prophets, the intercessors, knew the power of the midnight hour. The enemy fears those who pray between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. because these are the ones who take authority over the day before it begins. They rise before the sun and command the morning to align with heaven. They do not wait for circumstances to dictate their life. They command their life to align with the purposes of God. Do you know that the angels are moving at this hour? Jacob saw the ladder of heaven with angels ascending and descending, Genesis 28:12. At 3 a.m., 5 a.m., divine messengers are sent forth. Blessings are being assigned. Heaven is active. God is waiting for those who will partner with him in the Spirit. When you seek him in these hours, you walk in divine favor because you have moved in the flow of heaven's timing. The scripture says in Job 38:12, have you commanded the morning since your days began and caused the dawn to know its place? The enemy does not wait until noon to attack. So why should we wait until noon to pray? Those who wake up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. take control of their day before the enemy can plant his seeds. God is calling. Will you rise? Will you answer? Will you seek him in the sacred hours of the watch? It is time for the warriors, the intercessors, the chosen ones to awaken. Do not let the enemy steal your blessings in the night. Do not let the gates of the morning be shut against you. God is speaking. Seek me in the deep of the night, and I will bless you in the light of day. Wake up, O watchmen. Rise up, O seekers of God, and you will walk in the blessings that he has stored up for those who seek him. There is a time in the deep of the night when the world is silent, when the streets are empty, when the noise of men has ceased. It is a time when the physical realm sleeps, but the spiritual realm is awake. It is the time of divine encounters, the time when the heavens open, when angels descend, when the Spirit of God moves upon the earth. It is the sacred window between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., the hours of the fourth watch, the time of visitation. Throughout the scriptures, we see that God moves in the secret hours of the night. It was at midnight that Paul and Silas, imprisoned and bound, lifted their voices to God in praise. And as they worshiped, the prison shook, the chains fell, and the doors of their captivity flung open. It was in the night that Jacob wrestled with the angel until the breaking of the dawn, refusing to let go until he received his blessing. It was in the night that Samuel heard the voice of God calling him, setting him apart as a prophet to the nations. The darkness of the world is no barrier to the light of God, for in the watches of the night he moves in power, seeking those who will rise and call upon him. The enemy understands the power of this time, which is why the forces of darkness work their schemes under the cover of night. It is between these hours that demonic activities intensify, that spirits of oppression move, that destinies are manipulated, that the wicked conspire against the righteous. But just as the enemy seeks to operate under the shadows, God is calling his people to rise as watchmen, to stand in the gap, to break the chains before they can tighten, to overturn the works of darkness before they can manifest. The night is not given to the enemy, but to the people of God, to those who will awaken, who will take authority, who will command the morning and release the blessings of the day before the sun has risen. When you rise between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., you are aligning yourself with the rhythm of heaven. You are no longer reactive to the battles of life, but proactive in the Spirit. You are stepping into the pattern of Christ, who rose early before daybreak to seek the face of the Father. You are moving in the wisdom of David, who declared, "Early will I seek you." You are taking your place among the intercessors, the warriors, the watchmen on the wall who guard the gates of the dawn. There is a mystery in these hours, a secret place where God pours out revelation, where burdens are lifted, where breakthroughs are birthed. It is in this time that divine assignments are released, that new seasons are ushered in, that prophetic destinies are unlocked. To those who will seek him in the night, he will answer. To those who will rise when the world sleeps, he will pour out a blessing that cannot be contained. Will you answer the call? Will you awaken to the watch? Will you seek him in the time of visitation? The blessing is waiting. The heavens are open. The watchman must rise. In the deep hours of the night, when all is still, God moves in ways unseen and speaks in whispers that only those who are awake can hear. The scriptures are filled with divine encounters that happen under the cover of darkness, moments when God revealed himself to those who sought him, or even to those who did not expect him. The night, though shrouded in mystery, has always been a time when heaven touches earth, when destinies are shifted, and when the voice of God breaks through the silence. Moses, the man who led the people of Israel out of Egypt, had his own encounter with God in the night. It was in the dark of the wilderness that he stood before a burning bush that was not consumed, and it was there that he heard the voice of the Almighty calling him by name. In the solitude of the night, Moses received his commission, his divine assignment that would alter the course of history. And later, as the great deliverance of Israel was at hand, it was at midnight that the judgment of God passed through Egypt, breaking the power of Pharaoh and setting his people free. The night became the hour of liberation, the hour when the chains of bondage were shattered, the hour when God proved that he was not bound by time or circumstance. Samuel, the prophet who anointed kings, was just a boy when he first heard the voice of God. It was in the night while he lay in the temple that the Lord called to him, not once, not twice, but 3 times. Samuel did not recognize the voice at first, but when he responded, saying, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening," everything changed. The night became the moment of calling, the moment of consecration, the moment when God revealed himself to a young boy and set him apart as a prophet to the nations. And then there was Paul, imprisoned in the darkness of a Roman cell. It was midnight when he and Silas, instead of lamenting their suffering, began to worship. Their voices rose in praise, their hearts lifted in faith, and as they sang, the prison shook, the chains fell, and the doors of their captivity swung open. It was not just a physical deliverance, but a spiritual one, a declaration that even in the darkest of places, the light of God shines, and the power of his presence cannot be contained. Again and again throughout Scripture, God has revealed himself in the night. Whether through visions, dreams, or his audible voice, he has shown that darkness does not hinder his presence, that silence does not mean he is absent. Those who are awake in the night, those who are seeking him, those who are listening, these are the ones who encounter him in ways that others do not. The night is not a time to fear, but a time to listen, a time to seek, a time to expect the unexpected. Will you be among those who are awake when he calls? Will you be found waiting when he passes by? The night holds mysteries, and those who seek him in the darkness will walk in the light of revelation. There is a time when the forces of darkness gather, when the enemy conspires, when chains are fastened around destinies, and when oppression seeks to take hold. It is the time when wickedness moves in secrecy, when the arrows of the adversary are released, and when the plans of destruction are set into motion. But there is also a time when chains are broken, when the schemes of the enemy are overturned, and when the power of darkness is shattered, and when the gates of breakthrough open. That time is between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. The hour of spiritual war, the hour when the righteous rise, the hour when heaven responds. The enemy works in darkness, but God is the light that exposes and destroys every work of the wicked one. Midnight into the early hours of the morning is when spiritual battles are fought and won. It is no coincidence that when Pharaoh held God's people in bondage, it was at midnight that the power of Egypt was broken and the firstborn of the land were struck down. It was no coincidence that Paul and Silas, imprisoned and bound, did not wait for the morning light, but lifted their voices in prayer and worship at midnight. And as they did, the prison trembled, the chains shattered, and the doors flung open. Why did their breakthrough come at that hour? Because midnight is not just a time on the clock. It is a prophetic moment of transition where one day ends and another begins. It is the time when the plans of the enemy must be intercepted, when the curses spoken in the night must be nullified, when divine favor must be secured before the new day dawns. Those who pray between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. do not wait for the battle to come to them. They rise in the Spirit and dismantle the enemy's work before it can manifest. Many people wake up suddenly in the middle of the night, not realizing that their spirit is being stirred to warfare. Some feel a heaviness upon them, a pressure that seeks to paralyze them in their sleep. Some experience strange dreams, demonic visitations, or overwhelming fear in the night. This is not a coincidence. This is the hour when the forces of darkness seek to establish their dominion. But it is also the hour when the power of God is strongest for those who will rise and seek him. When you pray in the early hours, you declare war on the enemy's camp. You release angelic reinforcements. You frustrate demonic operations. You overturn evil decrees, and you take control of your day before it begins. You shift the atmosphere, commanding heaven to intervene, speaking life where the adversary has planned destruction. Do not let the night be stolen by the enemy. Do not let darkness dictate your destiny. Rise, pray, declare, and take your place as a warrior in the Spirit. When you seek God at 3 a.m., you will see chains fall, you will witness breakthroughs, and you will walk in the victory that he has already prepared for you. Will you rise while others sleep? Will you claim what heaven has set aside for you? The battle is fought in the night, but the victory belongs to those who seek him. There is a mystery hidden in the depths of the night, a calling that only a few perceive, a summons from heaven that awakens the chosen ones. While the world sleeps, while the city is silent, there are those who rise not by their own will, but by the stirring of the Spirit. They are the watchmen, the intercessors, the warriors in the secret place. They rise between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. because they have been called to stand in the gap, to war in the Spirit, to decree the purposes of God before the day breaks. They are the unseen forces that shift the course of history through prayer, the ones who battle in the night so that victories may be seen in the light of day. The watchmen have always existed. They stood on the walls of ancient cities, guarding against enemies, sounding the alarm when danger approached. But beyond the physical, there are spiritual watchmen, men and women appointed by God to stand on the walls of prayer, to perceive the movements of the enemy before they manifest, to war in the spirit before destruction can come. The prophets were watchmen, seeing beyond what the natural eye could see. Ezekiel was called to be a watchman over Israel, commanded to warn the people and intercede on their behalf. Isaiah spoke of watchmen who would never be silent, who would cry out to God day and night until his purposes were fulfilled. Why does God call his watchmen in the hours of the night? Because the night is when the enemy operates in secrecy, planting seeds of destruction, releasing attacks against destinies, families, and nations. But just as the enemy moves in darkness, God raises his warriors to counteract and destroy every scheme. Between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., demonic forces seek to establish their dominion, but the watchmen arise to dismantle their plans, to overthrow their works before they can take root. This is the hour of battle, the hour when the spirit realm is most active, the hour when those who are awake in the presence of God gain dominion over the day. The secret of the watchman is this: they understand that prayer is not just a request, it is an act of war. They do not wait for attacks to come, they intercept them. They do not react to circumstances, they dictate them in the spirit. They understand that what happens in the physical realm is only a reflection of what has already been decided in the spiritual. And so they rise before the sun, before the distractions of the day, before the enemy can execute his plans, and they take authority. They declare, they decree, they uproot, they plant. They align their prayers with the will of heaven. The watchmen know that their labor is not in vain. Though unseen, their prayers shift the course of lives. Though unheard by men, their voices resound in heaven. They may never receive recognition on earth, but in the courts of heaven they are known. Will you be counted among them? Will you rise while others sleep? The secret is revealed only to those who answer the call. The watchmen must not be silent. The warriors must not rest. The time is now. In the stillness of the night, when the world is silent and men are asleep, something happens in the unseen realm. The heavens become active. The veil between the natural and the supernatural grows thin, and the movements of angels increase upon the earth. Between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., when darkness reaches its peak, the forces of light are released. It is the sacred time of seeking, the time when divine visitations manifest, when angelic assignments are carried out, when the prayers of the righteous bring heaven to earth. All throughout Scripture, angels have been sent on divine missions, carrying out the will of God in critical moments of history. When Daniel prayed and fasted, an angel was dispatched to bring him revelation, but the messenger was delayed by the prince of Persia, a demonic force resisting the purposes of God. Yet through persistent prayer, reinforcements arrived and the answer was delivered. This shows us that angelic movements are often tied to the prayers of God's people. When we rise in the sacred hours, we align ourselves with the divine order, summoning angelic assistance, opening the gates for breakthroughs, and securing victories that are fought in the unseen realm. It was at night that Jacob saw the heavens open and a ladder stretching from earth to heaven, with angels ascending and descending. That was not just a vision, it was a revelation of spiritual activity, a glimpse into the reality of angelic assignments. Just as angels move between heaven and earth, carrying messages, executing judgments, protecting the saints, and delivering divine answers, they are especially active when men seek God in the deep hours of the night. When Peter was in prison, the church interceded for him, and in the middle of the night, an angel appeared in the prison cell. With a touch, the chains fell from Peter's hands, the prison gates swung open, and he walked out into freedom. This was not a coincidence. It was a divine intervention, an angelic response to prayer. The chains of captivity could not withstand the power of God's messengers. This is the power of the midnight and early morning watch. It is the time when angels are released to battle on behalf of the saints, to war against the powers of darkness, to break chains, to open doors, and to deliver the answers to prayers that have been lifted before the throne of God. Even Jesus. In his moments of greatest need was strengthened by angels. In the Garden of Gethsemane, as he prayed in anguish, an angel appeared to him, strengthening him for the mission ahead. If the Son of God received angelic assistance in his time of seeking, how much more will we, if we rise to seek the Father in the sacred hours? The early morning watch is not just a time of prayer, it is a time of divine encounter. It is the time when angelic activity intensifies, when heaven responds to earth. When the supernatural is at work, will you position yourself to receive? Will you rise to meet the movement of heaven? The angels are on assignment, waiting for the prayers that will activate the will of God. The time is now. Heaven is waiting. In the early hours of the morning, before the sun rises, before the world awakens, before the noise of the day begins, there is a moment of power, a window of divine opportunity. It is between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. that the spiritual realm is most active, that destinies are shaped, that the direction of the day is set. This is the hour of commanding the morning, of taking authority over what lies ahead, of speaking into the day before it unfold. It is the secret of those who walk in divine favor, those who see breakthroughs before others even perceive a battle. The scriptures declare, have you commanded the morning since your days began and caused the dawn to know its place? Job 38:12. These are not empty words, they are revelation of spiritual law. The morning is not just a time of the day, it is a realm that must be commanded, a gate that must be secured. If the righteous do not take hold of the morning, the enemy will. If blessings are not decreed, curses will take their place. If the presence of God is not invoked, the forces of darkness will attempt to take territory. Jesus himself set the pattern for commanding the morning. The scriptures tell us that he rose early before dawn and withdrew to pray. Why? Because he knew that what happened in those early hours would determine the course of the day. Before miracles took place, before crowds gathered, before opposition arose, he secured the day in prayer. David too understood this mystery, declaring, "O God, you are my God, early will I seek you," Psalm 63:1. The prophets, the patriarchs, the men and women of faith who walked in supernatural favor all had this in common. They sought God in the sacred hours, and in return, their days were aligned with divine purpose. Between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., the battles of the day are fought and won. It is during these hours that the spiritual decrees of heaven are released, that angelic assignments are dispatched, that barriers are torn down before they can rise. Those who wake at this time do not wait for problems to come. They intercept them before they manifest. They do not wait for trouble to knock. They command peace, favor, and victory before the first light of dawn. It is in this time that destinies are shaped, that divine wisdom is released, that supernatural favor is activated. Those who command the morning do not walk into their day uncertain. They walk with confidence, knowing that heaven has already gone ahead of them. Their steps are ordered, their paths are cleared, their assignments are secured. Will you rise and command your morning? Will you speak over your day before the enemy has a chance to? Will you declare favor before obstacles appear? The power has been given to you. The time is now. Seek him early, command the morning, and walk in the victory that has already been prepared for you. The day belongs to those who take hold of it in prayer. The night is not just a time of rest, it is a time of war, a time of divine encounters, a time when destinies are shaped and breakthroughs are secured. From the days of Moses to the prayers of Paul and Silas, from the visions of Jacob to the intercessions of the Watchmen, the sacred hours between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. have been marked by supernatural movements. It is the time when heaven responds, when angels are dispatched, when chains are broken, and when those who seek God receive revelation, strength, and victory. This is the call, to be among those who rise while others sleep, to be the watchmen on the walls, to be the warriors who do not wait for battles but win them before they begin. If you will seek him in the sacred hours, you will see his power manifest in your life. Chains will break, doors will open, angels will move, and the favor of the Lord will go before you. The choice is yours. Will you answer the call? Thank you, and may you walk in the blessings, authority, and divine encounters that come to those who seek him in the deep hours of the night.